was playing, Alex was just asking me, okay, shall we wait until the second drop comes in?
I don't know, like when it comes to my own music, it's a challenge for me to try to make, you know, the where I'm coming from and where I'm taking my inspirations a bit more accessible. But again, it's not like that I'm choosing it; it just comes out like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you make like tracks that are aimed at the dance floor, how do you avoid getting bored by your own productions? How do you challenge yourself? Or
well, just come and see my studio. Actually, you've seen it. There's a lot of instruments that. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you know, to me, making music has mostly to do with creating sounds. So when I make a new track, I try to use sounds that I haven't used in another track, and that can be even with a kick drum or a snare drum. So over the years, I started to get into a lot of instruments and way of recording as well, in order to get a sound that I wouldn't find on the records that I play or that I've done before.
Wasn't it the case you also have a project together with Skrillex, Dogblood, and at the time when he first visited your studio in Berlin, I'm not sure, but he was mostly used to making music with software, and wasn't he quite surprised by the stuff you had in your studio?
Yeah, I think it was actually the first time he's seen like a 303 or an 808, you know, and I think it's all good, but for me it's there's something about instruments and while you record turning actual knobs. It's just a way of my process. I wouldn't say you make whatever that music is better than this. It's just I think everybody has to find their own way how to enjoy making music and how to be inspired by. And I also like to put myself into more, you know, uncomfortable situations where I have to learn something again. You know, when you buy a new machine, you have to like get into it and read the manual and like do things and try out things. And I keep doing it to myself. Like once I know too much what I can do with it, I mostly step on to the next already.
Speaking about learning, I mean, this track was kind of maybe the Boys Noize that you all know from Going Out, maybe. But let's play a different track that was actually on the same record called
Sure.
Star Child. was Star Child. It also came out last year, and the features and vocals Polisa. And is it true that this song kind of had its beginning in a way with Justin Vernon from Bon Iver?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. I've had a show in Minneapolis a few years ago. My first show in Minneapolis, in Wisconsin, and there was this guy that reached out to me before, and he was like, "Hey, I'm working with this rapper, POS. Do you want to work with him?" And I checked him out. I really like his stuff, and I met him in Berlin. We made some music for his album. And then when I came to Wisconsin, I met that guy, and it turned out he was sort of the mentor of Justin Vernon, who we know from Bon Iver. So Justin came at me, he's like, "Man, we're like big fans," and you know, they discovered me through MySpace, like, you know, back in the day and stuff like this, which is so crazy to me. And so yeah, from that day on, like, we met a few times.
And then he introduced you to Polisa.
Exactly, so Justin was playing me a few demos, some Kanye West demos, and some demos he was working on the Polisa record. And I fell in love with her voice and the music a lot, so I was just a fan, basically. And you know, when it comes to my own music, I have quite a hard time using real vocals, so I create my own, or even when it gets into a pop structure, I'm always not really inspired by that. So in the past, I've avoided working with that for my own music. But when I was working on the new record, I was kind of hoping I could make a song with her. So yeah, we met up, and I just brought a drum machine, and I had this idea with this like holy rhythm kind of thing, and yeah, it was great. She immediately got inspired by just the rhythm, basically, and we wrote the song within a few hours. Like, it was really nice.
It's not like a one-off thing. You're still working with her.
Yeah, we became actually pretty good friends. We've met a few more times. I just produced a song for Polisa that came out, I think like 2-3 months ago. And yeah, we still see each other here and there.
And a couple of years ago, you also did something new. You recorded the theme music for a movie, for a German movie called Who Am I, which is a kind of hacker movie, and I'm not sure if it was shown in the Netherlands, probably. But then what happened is a couple of years after you did this soundtrack, last year or a year and a half ago, the production team from Oliver Stone contacted you, and this brings us to the silver screen. You did some of the music for his last movie on Edward Snowden, called Snowden. And maybe before we start talking about this, we can see a brief clip which also has your music in it.
That's right.